Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 270, and I'm continuing the story of Bluebeard. Bluebeard's wife, entrusted with the keys but told not to open one room, was just left with such a curiosity as to what must lay inside that room, that while her friends were up exploring all the other magnificent rooms, she could not help herself but to go down into that dark passageway which led to the room. She took out that key and inserted it into the door, opened it. All was dark inside. There were no windows, and the passageway that had led to the room was also dark. As she looked in, she could make out absolutely nothing. Slowly, as her eyes adjusted, she saw upon the floor curdled blood. And as her eyes adjusted more, she saw the bodies of women up against the walls, heads removed, heads upon the floor. All the wives that Bluebeard had had before her. Gasping, she quickly shut the door, put the key in the lock, locked it, and as she pulled it out, it fell to the floor. And it fell upon some dried blood that was there. She picked up the key and saw that it had been tainted by this blood. She rushed upstairs and took it into a washing area and began to scrub the blood away. But as soon as she had washed it off one side, it appeared on the other. And as soon as she had washed it from that side, it washed back to the other side. She was frantic about this. She put this key away up on a mantle in one of the upper rooms. And she went back to join her friends, but her mood, of course, had changed. She had done what she'd been asked not to do, and now was left with, it seemed, evidence that would not go away. Her friends left, and she was left there in despair. A few days passed, and much sooner than expected, Bluebeard returned with the news that as he had been traveling on his way to this distant land, a messenger had come, letting him know that all had been settled in his favor. And he asked for his keys to be returned. And she fetched the ring of keys and brought them to him. And he said, "One key is missing, the one to the room which I forbid you to go into. Fetch that." She said, I don't know where it is, but I shall look. Back and forth she went, looking for this key. Bluebeard getting more and more angry all the time because he thought for certain that she knew where it was, and thought for certain that she was not telling him. Eventually, she brought the key down. He looked at it. He said, "What is this blood upon it?" She said, "I do not know." He said, "Yes, you do know, and I know as well, for this key was a magic key, and any who would unlock that door, well, the key would let me know, and it has." Now, you shall go into that room with the rest of those women, and just the same way, he said. At this point, that poor woman got down on her knees and begged that she might have her life. All her begging was to no avail. He said she must die. So she asked him for some bit of time so that she could prepare herself for death. And she went up into her bedchamber, and there she called out to her sister next door. I will stop the story there for today.